This is my Scott Addict 10 2014 long-termer. I've had this bike for just over a year, so I've had a good chance to get to know it, get a feel for it, and I'd like to tell you why I like it. I think this bike is exceptionally well rounded, and it's nice to be able to review a bike after a year and say, this is really good, this is what a race bike should be. There are a lot of bike review cliches talking about lateral stiffness, vertical compliance, and how this bike will make you fly up hills and scream down the other side. And in the case of this one, I've come to the conclusion after over a year of riding it that they're more or less true. I think that the Addict is an exceptionally good blend of comfort, performance, and it's all wrapped up in a package that looks good and, thanks to the spec, performs quite well. The luxury of having a long-term review bike is that you get to try out lots of different stuff on it. Now, this one's actually been a test bed for more than 30 different sets of wheels, but I've ended up with a set, the Pacenti SL23s built by Superstar, that are actually very similar to the stock wheels, which are Syncross ones on DT Swiss hubs, because they're a nice low section aluminium rim, but wide, and they perform really well. They don't weigh much, and they really fit in with the overall ethos of this bike, which is just to be very good at riding. I fitted them with Conti GP4000S2 tyres in 25mm, and on the slightly wider rim these are coming up nice and fat, which contributes to the overall comfort. There's been a recognition amongst bike manufacturers that not everybody wants an always-on race bike, because real people don't ride everywhere at 25 miles an hour, and sometimes they want a bit of comfort and a bit more of an overall compromise. So what Scott have done is they've given you a nice skinny 27.2 seat post on the second generation in place of the fat one on the original, and they've dropped the seat stays a bit, which adds a little bit of compliance to the rear end. And yet overall they've retained fantastic power transfer. It's not an endurance bike. Scott has an entirely different model for that, but the Addict is racy and comfortable at the same time. This model gets a full Ultegra 11-speed group set, which is brilliant. It's 95% of the functionality of Dura-Race with slightly less bling. It weighs in at 7.2 kilos stock, and with the changes I've made, it's broadly the same. I've kept with the stock gearing, which is exceptionally generous. It gets you a compact up front 50/34 and a cassette that goes all the way up to 32 on the back, which basically means you can cycle up a wall, which I love because I like to spin on long climbs. If I have one criticism, it's that this bike is extremely black, doesn't stand out very well in photographs, and it kind of blends into the crowd a bit. However, some of the current models are a little bit more colourful, definitely worth a look. In terms of reliability, the bike's been brilliant. I always have had slight reservations about press fit bottom brackets. The Scott uses the Shimano standard, i.e. BB86, and in my experience that's been relatively trouble-free, and I haven't had a single issue with this one. It's still on its original bottom bracket after about 2,000 miles and a lot of wet weather riding, so that's not been a problem at all. I'd recommend this bike to anyone that wants something that's racy, light and exciting, but not so harsh and uncomfortable that you couldn't ride it for 100 miles in one go. It's essentially everything that a modern road bike should be, aside from getting into the whole disc brake discussion. It's just very, very well rounded, it's refined. You can see that it's the evolution of a bike that was very good into a bike that's even better.